Hey guys, it's Ricky and Jim here. Today we are going to talk to you about all the stuff you need to know from a legal standpoint for your blog, for your niche website. Pretty simple. Now, I want you to know this is for information purposes only. We are not providing you official legal advice, okay? We're not your attorneys, but we do want to give you a little bit of understanding of the things that you should know right up front as you're going to start building a niche website. Okay?
I am an attorney. Proof is on the wall. Passed that horrible bar exam. So hopefully we can point you in the right direction on this one. But really, the legal issues for bloggers are not so severe until you're making significant money. I mean, let's say you make a blog. Your blog's about, Ricky's doing one about off-grid cabins. Like, who is going to sue you about that?
Yeah.
Who could possibly sue you on it? A customer could sue you if you sell an info product, blueprints for a cabin and their cabin falls down or something. Maybe. But usually a customer sues you and, you didn't send me the product and I paid you. Here's a refund. It's $10. What are all they could sue you for usually is $10, whatever product you actually sold them for, unless there was some weird situation like you're selling blueprints
really
or something.
Weird. Yeah.
So a customer really can't sue you because if they get ticked off enough, just refund them and let them move on. It's not that big of a deal.
Yeah, it's usually worth the lost revenue to just
let them go. Who cares?
Them go. Okay.
Creditors could sue you.
They could. Yeah, if you're not paying a bill that you owe, they could sue you, and they'd be right to do so. There's a very simple solution to this. Don't borrow money from creditors. Niche websites are not very expensive. The costs are very, very, very small.
Defamation could be an issue. Somebody could sue you, especially, you're a dude in a spare bedroom in his pajamas, but your blog has 1 million people that read it every month, and you write about somebody's Kickstarter campaign and why you think it's crap. You better be right. You better be factual in everything you write, because if that kills that Kickstarter campaign or something, you could be in a world of hurt.
You could be funding the Kickstarter.
Yeah. So just be careful. If you're going to be writing negative, angry things on your website, you better be sure it's factual and you have everything exactly right. What I do on Improved Photography, if we do write something controversial, angry, which isn't that rare, it's not that common. We don't really write a lot of controversial stuff. But if we do, I just reach out to the company and I said, hey, I didn't like your product, honestly. We're going to write this review, but I may be missing something. Am I missing something in this? In fact, I just did that yesterday to a company. And then, you get better information on your website and nobody's mad at you. They had their chance to respond, It's great.
Okay, so what about if you're using somebody else's brand, somebody's trademark? Mm-hmm. Are they going to sue you over that?
Yeah, if I start a website about, TeslaFan.com, Tesla is a trademark. Yeah. And so it is a problem. I would just recommend, in your domain name, never use anyone's trademark.
Right.
Even things, TeslaUnofficial.com or something. Just don't use anybody's trademark.
Don't use the brand name. Don't use the trademark name. Now, that would very, very rarely lead to a lawsuit. It's most likely going to lead to a cease and desist letter. Their lawyers are going to send you a letter saying, hey, stop using our name. And you're going to have to change your domain name. Mm-hmm. And that's probably about as far as it's going to go.
Yeah, it's rare that somebody's going to be like, let's bankrupt this kid, No,
so
they just want you to stop.
Like, the risk of a lawsuit when you have a niche website is pretty low as long as you're not doing anything dumb. Okay.
Mm-hmm. But just with trademarks, just go to do a test trademark search. It's on uspto.gov, and just search. When you're choosing the name of your website, be certain that you're not using somebody else's trademark. We have more info on that on incomeschool.com, but just be a little bit careful there that you're not using a trademark.
Yep.
All right. Affiliate programs do have risks, especially when you're the one running the affiliate program. I heard a story years ago that just freaked me out. It was a guy who had a blog and he started an affiliate program for his product, and it ran for a couple years and it was fine, and he paid everybody out that was being an affiliate for it. And then he gets an email one day from a guy that says, hey, I referred 5 transactions this month and I sat there at the computer and verified they absolutely went through my link and I didn't get credited for it. And he thought, what? How's that possible? And he looked through and there was a bug in the software. And this program had run for years. Yeah. And so he looked through and he was actually able to track. And turns out he owed like millions of dollars. Wow. And he emailed out everybody and said, hey, I'm sorry, guys. If you want to collect, I'm bankrupt. It's like horrible, right? So when you're doing big business, you have to act like big business.
Yep.
And if you're going to do an affiliate program, you better be sure it works. All the technology is perfect. If people are going to rely on your business, you're doing software, you better be sure it's right. Just as your business grows, even if you're in your spare bedroom, just be sure that you're following standard business practices. And what you would see a company do of that size, you need to kind of act like it, even if it feels a little overkill for some dude in his pajamas.
If you're keeping it really simple, if you are building a niche website, 100% of your revenue comes from affiliate products on other people's sites, Amazon, as well as maybe Google Ads, your risk is super low. Okay?
Very low.
But as soon as you start creating your own products, and especially if you start creating your own affiliate programs, then you do need to start taking a little bit more precaution. And at that point, it may be safe to start looking at how to protect your personal assets from the business.
Right. When you're starting your blog, don't go create an LLC. It's just not that big of a deal. Who in the world is going to sue you over this? There's just nobody that's going to be that angry at you. There's nobody. It's just not a big deal. So just start a blog and it's okay. You're set. What you do need to do is, as soon as your business starts earning money, you do need to separate the accounting. We're going to talk about that. But first, on entities, I don't know. I'm going to say, if you have very significant assets, like you're about to retire, you got a lot of assets, you own your home, etc., then, heck, go spend $100 at your Secretary of State and just file an LLC and do a couple basic things to make your company. Just filing an LLC does absolutely nothing to protect you, essentially. Because if you treat that company as if it's your own bank account, it did nothing for you. You have to treat it as a separate business. Separate business bank accounts. You're going to have to pay yourself a salary. You can't just be like, how much do I want to take out of the business this month? Oh, that was a cool voice. I just totally did Kermit. I'm going to set a salary and I'm going to take whatever, $10,000 home every month from the business, and you want to keep things predictable. If I were an employee of this business, it wouldn't be okay for me to just pick however much I want to get paid that month. And so you got to follow some normal practices. And that is, in addition to the LLC, is what separates that business from you personally. And so it will protect you from some liability from your company. And not everything, some.
That bank account should be in the name of the LLC, right?
Yeah.
It's the LLC that owns that bank account, not you, the person. Okay.
Right. So you got to treat it.
That's what matters. If I open a separate bank account as Ricky Kessler and operate it like a business bank account, and I have an LLC, but it's my bank account, not the LLC's bank account, that then I'm not operating that business.
Right. So you just want to kind of dot your I's and cross your T's a little bit. Like, when I reimburse for mileage, if I was driving anywhere to take pictures for my blog or something, I send my wife, who does the finances for our blog, I'll send her an email and say, please reimburse me for this I paid with my personal account. And, just make it a little bit formal, do those kind of things. Hold your corporate minutes every year, that kind of basic thing. So there's a little bit of a headache. And that's why we generally recommend don't do it. But if you have significant assets, or once the website starts earning significant money, then it's probably going to make sense to turn it into an LLC. But again, there are tax implications. It's rarely going to be the case that you're going to save money by creating an LLC. Generally, you're going to be better if it's just a sole proprietorship, if it's just you running the business. But that depends so much on your individual circumstances.
Sure.
All right. People always ask about privacy policy and terms of use at the bottom of your website. Just go find a free one online. and just enter in your information. It's prudent to have some standard terms there, but again, it's not that big of a deal. It's not the first thing that I run and do on all of my websites. Credit card transactions, you're going to make sure your site's secured, that people aren't easily going to be able to break in, things like that. You got to just be careful once you're doing that kind of thing. And what I've found the easiest for credit card stuff is just don't do it yourself.
Yeah.
Just use a company, use a Shopify. We use SendOwl, and then a lot of it is taken care of by the pros.
Exactly.
We know it's done right.
Exactly. Okay, we kind of hit on accounting, separate bank account. What about the books? What about, how you track your finances? Like, you do need to keep a set of business books. You really should. That's good practice.
Absolutely.
So even if you have a separate bank account, just the ledger from the bank isn't really going to cut it, okay?
The one thing that I would add for that is for your first couple of years of your blog, it's an online company. You don't have any inventory or anything else, so it's so simple.
Very simple.
For your first couple of years, it's probably not that big of a deal, honestly. If you wait until February or March, right before you do your taxes, and just look through your business, income and expenses right there, and you can, in just a couple hours, put things together. Quickly, though, as you increase in income, you'll have thousands of transactions come through in a year. And so that's just unrealistic, and you're going to have to graduate, usually from Excel at the start, and you're going to have to graduate to something like QuickBooks.
Right.
And that's what we do. We use QuickBooks for the business. Now, with separate business bank accounts, you definitely need to do that if you're an LLC, but even if you're an individual, I would definitely recommend the instant your website earns money, the very first time. In fact, even before it does, just go open a separate bank account. It doesn't even have to be in the business's name.
Right.
Just go open a separate bank account and make every transaction that has anything to do with the business go through that account. Makes everything so much easier to keep track
really clean,
of.
Right? Yeah. I mean, you can see when you're trying to track income and expenses, it's what money comes in, what money goes out. Mm-hmm. You don't have to try to filter it out of your normal bank account.
Yeah, it's a mess. Trying to do it in no, don't do it in your same personal account. Next is taxes. When you start owning a business, if it's your first business, you're going to have some surprises with zeros behind them. I can remember the first time I wrote out a $50,000 check to the IRS. I was just like, and now I do that pretty regularly. But taxes will eat you alive. If you've been an employee all your life, you never even notice.
No.
Most people have no idea how much they pay.
It comes out of your paycheck beforehand, and at the end of the year, you use TurboTax or go to H&R Block, and you get a return most of the time. And you're happy when tax season comes along because you get a little bonus. It's that zero interest savings account.
Biggest government fraud ever. Really, once the government did that, just take it out of the paycheck before it comes out.
That was novel.
It was the biggest government fraud ever.
Before that, the way that taxes worked was you got paid, you walked out of work, and then the tax man came calling and said, "Hey, look, you owe this money," and it was painful. You had to, it hurts. Okay. Mm-hmm. As soon as they started taking it out of the paycheck beforehand,
people have no idea how much. But there's nobody to do that for you now. Nobody does that. And so you earn your income in a year, and in April, taxman comes calling. You got to pay.
It hurts.
And so you got to set aside money all throughout the year to make sure you can pay at the end of the year.
In fact, if you make enough, you have to do quarterly estimates throughout the year. Otherwise, you get dinged at the end of the year because you didn't give the government their money early enough.
Right, which is that's so frustrating. Once you own a business and you see you start out January and you owe tens of thousands of dollars. Yeah. And then you go 2 months more and they're like, "Yep, time for another quarterly estimate." And bang, and it's just like, how am I supposed to grow this bank account if it keeps getting hammered every quarter with taxes?
I would say that kind of as a rule of thumb, if you're making at least even $5,000 or $10,000 a year on your niche website, it's you've had it for a year, it's starting to pick up, it's making $5-10 grand a year. Pay a couple $100 and get an accountant. Mm-hmm. Okay, you will save money. Like, no joke. Every year, you will probably save money by hiring an accountant because they're going to keep you out of trouble.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I've seen that myself. As our business was growing many years ago, it was the first time I'd done this, and the businesses had earned 80,000, the next year 120,000. It was growing up and up and up and up, and each year. And when it got on one of those big swings, we went to the accountant in April, and we'd paid our quarterly estimates, everything fine, based on our income from the year before. And he did all his thing, and he called me the next day, and he says, "Okay, you owe 55,000." Wait, what? What? I couldn't believe it. But you gotta remember, it's a percentage of what you're earning that year, and as you get in the higher tax brackets, that portion of the money, it gets to be a lot. So it's worth it. Just get a CPA. Once you've earned even, I don't know, 15,000, 20,000, just get a CPA. It's not that expensive, and have somebody do it for you. Make sure it's done right.
Yep.
All right. That's our online business legal guide.
Yeah, it was real quick. Okay, so there's details here that we didn't get to dive into. If you're concerned at all and you want to get into the LLC thing, there's stuff you need to figure out. So spend some time researching, and if you have access to one, go talk to an attorney. It'll be worth it. But if you're small, just starting out, don't worry about it. It's going to keep it simple to just leave it as a sole proprietorship.
If you need a mentor to help walk you through the difficulties of blogging, go to incomeschool.com and click on Niche Site School. That's our 60-day program to help build your blog. Even if your website's existing, you can still work with us. You can bounce questions off us, etc. And it will walk you through kind of a 60-day recharge of your website, or a 60-day build from scratch of your website. So check it out, incomeschool.com, and then click on Niche Site School. Thanks, everybody.